Thank you all for coming. To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave dare not go, to right the unrightable wrong, to love pure and chaste from afar, to try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable star. The Impossible Dream from Man of La Mancha is one of my father's favorite songs. I even remember when we saw the play about 30 years ago, he loved that song, but I forgot how much he liked to sing. There were a lot of things I forgot about Dad until he came down here 3 years ago. So I've had to learn a few things about my father. What did he like? What he didn't like? How he liked being in charge? How he hated getting his hair cut? How he never thought of himself as being old? Never. What made him happy? What made him sad? And yeah, just occasionally, what made him mad? Where's my staff? You'll know. To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe. Polish-born, raised in Argentina, Dad came to the States 65 years ago at the age of 23. He knew no English, but he did have a dream, which seemed like an impossible one, like Colin mentioned, to build a life for his family while continuing his passion, soccer. Dad was an athlete. His love of playing soccer in Argentina led him to the dream of playing in the United States. He eventually was recruited to be part of the 1949 World Cup qualifying team. His scoring goals helped bring the U.S. to the infamous 1950 World Cup the next year. Some of you probably know this already. But Dad never talked much about his soccer career while we were growing up. I was very lucky that I had the chance this past January to bring Dad to Baltimore to meet up with Walter Barr, who was the 1949 teammate with Dad in the World Cup qualifying team, and he was also the captain of the 1950 World Cup team. And that too was an impossible dream, actually getting my father out to Baltimore. The whole deal was a big deal. We did it. Dad probably didn't comprehend the magnitude of that meeting of 60 years of not seeing this man, but I think he was happy, and I know we did good, and that's what counts. I got a call last week from Walter expressing the sadness at Dad's passing, and his words to me were, "Alicia, Benny was a great guy. I'll never forget our time together, nor will forget how important he was to the team, being the only Spanish-speaking player to play in the matches in Mexico City." He had a few other things he was helping them with that I can't share here, so. It helped be in Spanish. To run where the brave dare not go, to right the unrightable wrong. Oh, how my dad loved basking in the sun after his long days at work on the deck of his home in Oradell, New Jersey, where he lived for 43 years. His days were long. He was up at 4 in the morning. He'd go across the GW Bridge into Harlem, where he had a grocery store in the early years, and then later into the Bronx. His route, though, was never too long because it brought him to what he really loved. It brought him to his job, his work, his livelihood. That was him. His whole world revolved around the people, socializing, negotiating, working deals to bring the best tropical produce, bananas and pineapples, from Central and South America to the main ports in New York. New York Produce was his store. Dad was well respected for his street smart, his passion for the business, his work ethic. Padrino, they would call him, Spanish for the Godfather. And I suppose there he was also like Man of La Mancha. He was the man of the people, a character nonetheless. To love pure and chaste from afar. Mom, his love of 61 years, was his biggest cheerleader. She'd always loved telling people about her Argentine soccer playing husband, even when he hadn't played for 60 years. Living on the 3rd floor here of assisted living, while Dad was living on the 2nd floor, Dad would always send the staff to check in on her. Was she eating? Tell her that he'd be there soon. Their last days together were of holding hands with lots of kisses. He also loved singing Besame Mucho while I played the piano or when our friend Enma sang with him. kissed me a lot. And that's what he did. When Mom passed away a year ago, Dad was lost. We all tried filling in some of that void, but to no avail. She really was his everything. To try when your arms are too weary. Now, some of you, I don't see a lot of Bedford here, but some of you may remember Dad's big black Chrysler 300. Anyone? Brenda, you know that one? Dad used to take his Chrysler from one side of the building just across to the other to see my mom. He said his legs were too weary. So we tried to get him some rehab, right, Sylvia? And that didn't work, so we took his keys away and we got him a room here closer to her. And what about when his weary arms and mine couldn't remember what he did with his dentures? Like every day this man was losing his dentures. I'll never forget though, one day the staff and I were climbing on the top of the dumpster, searching through the garbage bags, looking for Dad's newly purchased dentures. Adios dentures. A special comfort to me has been 3 things here at Bedford Court, which actually became his new home and family at Bedford, in Maryland. First, from the residents to all the family members who befriended him, the lunches we had together, the hand kissing, Mary, telling him he looked good, and Harriet, Benny need a haircut. And then every now and then, be nice. Don't forget to be nice. Secondly, who knew Dad would find a Latin connection here at Bedford Court? That was something that he didn't grow weary of. Many of you would take out the time to habla en español, kept him smiling, he kept him young, especially during his last weeks with us. The visual memory I have of his amigas and amigos coming in to see him, sometimes even with the guitar, to sing Bésame Mucho in a possible dream. That was really, really, really special. And on the last day, on that day, he basically failed Hospice 101. They said, you know what? That's all he needs is people around him just to sing and care for him. And that's what we did. Last but most important is to each and every one of the wonderful caring staff that we had here, caring for him every day, and especially when his arms were too weary. We so thank you. We know how difficult it was becoming for him over the last year, and it was very trying for many of you too. I could never do what you do here at Bedford Court, and I'm so glad that you do what you do. At times a thankless, rewarding job, yet never boring, especially with such a feisty man like Benny. That my heart will lie peaceful and calm when I'm laid to my rest, and the world will be better for this. That one man, scorned and covered with scars, still strove with his last ounce of courage. Dad waited until my twin sister Joy flew in to spend their last hours together. Along with friends, we sang and we held hands. You're now at peace, Dad. Our Benny, our Benji, our Padrino, our man of La Mancha, and a character. But best of all, you're back with Mom holding hands again. And so, you've reached the unreachable star.
Okay, you forgot your teeth.
Always told me what to do.
Yes, no, that was bad. I just want to take a few moments to give an incredible kudos to my dear twin sister, Alicia. Not only for the special words and sharing that she just gave us, but more importantly for the last 3 years of being such an amazing daughter. One who loved, cared, shared, cried, played piano, and did so much to make sure that Mom and Dad were kept healthy, happy, safe, as much as possible. That was. And she is the ultimate caregiver and friend. She was the ultimate caregiver and friend, and always thinking of others' needs before her own. I think you guys probably have all witnessed that. That's right, thank you. Dad was a charmer, mildly modest about his good looks. He had a signature smile that sparkled ever so slightly, so you could actually tell when he was sort of being a little funny. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but there's just this little Benny smirk. No, that's big. That was actually my father's favorite photo, and we understand why. Anyway, because he was in Florida, actually. What you guys don't know if you've been here with him is that he used to wear mustaches. Every other day, it was mustache, no mustache, mustache, mustache. Here today, gone tomorrow. It was funny because at one point, Mom took about her 3 days before she actually realized it was gone. Anyway. This is funny, fun stuff I remembered, but Dad had a favorite drink. Anyone know what it was? It was a Black Russian. His favorite smoke was not cigarettes, but it was actually Cuban cigars from the early days. He had a favorite card game that he used to play with his friends back in Oradell, and that was poker, but now in Bedford Court here, with Alicia's help, she actually got them with locos ochos, that's it, right? Crazy eights. And that became his favorite here, if we can get him to play Brenda, right? He also had a favorite saying with Alicia and I when we were growing up. No idea where this came from, but it was pasta vazul. No idea, because that was Italian, right? And we thought he made up a fun word, and then we realized a few years ago there's actually an Italian soup that was called pasta vajol, and he was probably saying that with his Argentine accent. One of the things I remember is that Dad would take us bowling, he would teach us how to ride a bike, and even drive a car, which I just realized, hopefully not the same way he was driving at the end with his black Chrysler. Well, maybe Jeff, I don't know. Okay. We had lots of wonderful backyard memories gathered back in Oradell. Dad loved to barbecue and entertain. And those are some really great memories with our cousins, the Tops, and the Hamburgers, and the Ratners, and Dad had some really great friends, Hi and Helen Cooper, and the Vosman family, and our neighbors, the Johannes. I also have very fond memories of watching Dad and Uncle Joe, Dad's brother, kicking around the soccer ball in the backyard, and I think that's where he really got started with his headbutting. Never mind physically, but verbally, anyway. And then, oh yes, there was the Argentine accent. Did you guys know he had an accent? It wasn't until I was in high school that I actually noticed that Dad had an accent. It was only when one of my friends actually said, your dad speaks a little funny. Later in the later part of his life, we actually found that Dad's father, Noah, had a larger family than we knew. And it was a surprise to also find out that Dad actually has first cousins by the name of Ben and Sally, who are still alive. And then up to the very end, Dad always wanted to show that he still had it. And okay, ladies, it's not what you think, because he always wanted to show that he could still kick that soccer ball. Everyone knows we just kicked the soccer ball. A letter to Dad from your twins. As we look back, we find ourselves wondering, did we remember to thank you enough for all that you had done for us? For all the times you were by our sides, to help us and to support us, to celebrate our successes and teaching us the value of your hard work. We wonder if we really ever thanked you and Mom for all the sacrifices that you made to give us the very best. And even for the simple things like bananas 24/7, playing billiards in the basement, and all the empanadas we could share. If we have forgotten to show you our gratitude, Dad, we hope you know how much you meant to us. In those last weeks and days, I could see how much pain you were in, and then that was really hard to see. And when I realized just how strong you really were, yet how tired you had become, both Alicia and I realized it was okay, and it was time for Dad to sleep and be in peace. So, good night, Daddy. I'll always love you. I miss you. Alicia and I have put together a small video tribute that we'd like to share with you right now. And afterwards, we do welcome anyone who would like to share a few words before our closing kaddish.